They say age is just a number, but when it comes to Meghan Markle, that number might be the royal family's biggest secret yet. Tom Bower, the man who never lets a royal mystery rest, has uncovered something hidden in plain sight. One forgotten issue of 17 magazine from 1997 lists Meghan Markle as 21 years old. But according to her official record, she should have been just 15. That single line has sent royal fans, journalists, and even the palace itself into a quiet panic. Was it a typo? Or has Meghan been rewriting her story from the very beginning? If you're tired of the polished palace PR and want the truth behind the crown, make sure you're subscribed to FAMELOOP Daily, where every secret eventually surfaces. In 1997, 17 magazine was every teenager's Bible. Fashion, beauty, and a window into pop culture dreams. But hidden in one old issue was a tiny line that decades later would shake the royal world. Tucked between the pages, the name Meghan Markle appeared with an age beside it, 21. At the time, Meghan should have been 15. For years, no one noticed. The issue sat collecting dust, forgotten, until Tom Bower stumbled across it while researching her past. At first, it seemed like a harmless mistake. But when he lined up the dates, school records, and early interviews, the math stopped making sense. If the magazine was right, Meghan's public timeline was off by 6 whole years. That's not just a typo, that's a mystery. And for someone who built her brand on honesty and reinvention, it raised a much bigger question. Was the Duchess's Hollywood fairy tale rewritten before it even began? Tom Bower has built a reputation for uncovering what others won't touch. And when he found that 17 magazine feature, he didn't dismiss it as a publishing slip. He treated it like evidence. He began pulling every piece of Meghan's early life he could find. Old interviews, school photos, casting call sheets. Anything that could confirm the timeline she's always presented to the world. The deeper he dug, the stranger it got. Dates that didn't align. Career milestones that seemed to arrive too early or too late. Even the ages listed in some Hollywood databases didn't match what appeared on official documents. Bower compared the 1997 listing with Meghan's supposed birth year, 1981. The result? A gap wide enough to change her entire backstory. And for someone who spent years crafting an image of authenticity, that kind of inconsistency wasn't just suspicious, it was explosive. By the time Bower finished his research, he wasn't asking if there was a mistake. He was asking why it existed in the first place. In Hollywood, age isn't just a number, it's currency. It decides who gets the role, who gets the spotlight, and who quietly fades into the background. When Tom Bower followed the trail from that magazine listing to Meghan's early acting years, a new theory started taking shape. Maybe this wasn't a random error. Maybe it was part of a calculated reinvention. Think about it. A young actress trying to break into an industry obsessed with youth and image. A few years shaved off a resume could open doors that would otherwise stay closed. According to Bower, this wasn't the first time Meghan adjusted her story to fit a narrative. From the self-made actress to the unprepared royal, every chapter seemed carefully edited to support her brand of relatability and ambition. And if the age listed in 17 magazine really reflected how she was presenting herself at the time, it wouldn't be the first Hollywood makeover built on selective math. What Bower uncovered wasn't just a possible date mix-up. It was a glimpse into how far someone might go to shape the perfect story before the cameras ever started rolling. While royal watchers were busy dissecting timelines, Meghan's own family was quietly questioning things too, especially her father, Thomas Markle. Thomas has spoken in the past about raising Meghan almost entirely on his own. He remembers the school plays, the acting classes, the graduation ceremonies, every milestone, every age, every year. But when he compares those memories to the public version of her life, the one carefully polished for interviews and documentaries, something doesn't add up. According to Tom Bower's research, even Thomas has admitted that parts of Meghan's story feel off. The years she claimed to graduate, the age she said she was during early auditions. They just don't match his recollection. He doesn't sound angry, though. More like confused. A father watching his daughter's timeline change in front of him, wondering when the truth got replaced by a PR script. And it's that emotional disconnect between the Meghan her father remembers and the Meghan the world sees that gives Bauer's claims even more weight. Because when the story your own family tells doesn't line up with the version on paper, the mystery only deepens. When news of Tom Bauer's discovery began circulating, Buckingham Palace did what it always does best: stayed silent. No statements, no comments, not even a polite denial. But behind those palace walls, the whispers were growing louder. According to insiders, aides exchanged cautious emails and side glances over tea, wondering how this new revelation might affect the monarchy's image. For a family that guards reputation like treasure, the idea that a duchess might have quietly rewritten part of her past wasn't just embarrassing, it was dangerous. Even Prince William was said to have raised an eyebrow, privately questioning how many more small inconsistencies might still be buried beneath the Sussex narrative. After years of dealing with Oprah confessions, Netflix deals, and royal tell-alls, the palace thought it had weathered every storm. But this was something new, a direct hit to credibility. They couldn't officially acknowledge it, of course. But inside those marble halls, one thing was clear. Meghan's mystery wasn't just her problem anymore. It had become the crown's latest PR nightmare. Once the story hit the internet, the reaction was instantaneous and chaotic. Within hours, TikTok sleuths, Reddit theorists, and Twitter threads were dissecting every photo and timeline detail they could find. Screenshots from old yearbooks, red carpet interviews, and archived TV clips were suddenly being treated like evidence in a royal crime scene. People compared graduation dates, facial features, even lighting in old photos. Anything that might reveal the real age of Meghan Markle. Some swore the magazine had uncovered a massive cover-up. Others rolled their eyes and said it was nothing more than a decades-old typo. Memes started flooding timelines. One side called it the Meghan Markle Age Olympics. The other side defended her like loyal fans guarding a queen. Even casual followers who hadn't watched a royal story in months were suddenly clicking again, curious about how a single number in a teen magazine could set off such a frenzy. For Meghan, though, the silence spoke volumes. No comment, no clarification, just that familiar, careful smile. And in the online world, silence doesn't stop the noise. It amplifies it. For years, Meghan Markle built her reputation on empowerment, authenticity, and truth-telling. Her interviews, her speeches, her documentaries, all centered around being real in a world obsessed with image. But that's exactly why this controversy hits so hard. If the story she told about her age, or even the possibility of it being wrong, turned out to be misleading, it cracks the very foundation of her brand. Because when your empire is built on transparency, even a small inconsistency can feel like betrayal. Critics jumped on it immediately, calling her Hollywood persona manufactured and her royal journey scripted. Supporters tried to defend her, saying everyone deserves a little privacy. But the damage was done. Brands that once saw her as a symbol of credibility started keeping their distance. Online discussions shifted from admiration to suspicion. And for a woman who spent years curating her story with precision, that kind of narrative loss is devastating. The worst part? It wasn't even about whether she lied. It was about how much effort she's put into controlling the story. Once people started doubting that, the illusion of authenticity began to slip. After weeks of speculation, the records finally spoke for themselves. The official California Birth Index confirms Meghan Markle was born on August 4th, 1981, making her 42 years old today. So technically, Tom Bauer's discovery doesn't prove that she lied about her age. But what it did prove is how fragile her public story has become. One old magazine line was all it took to send fans, critics, and even the palace into chaos. Because this wasn't really about numbers. It was about trust. Once people start wondering what else in Meghan's story might have been adjusted or edited, every part of her image begins to feel like a performance. And that's the part Bauer exposed without ever saying it outright. The idea that behind every royal headline and polished interview, there might still be another version, one that's just slightly out of sight. For Meghan, this was supposed to be a quiet chapter, but instead, it's become another reminder that in the royal world, nothing stays buried for long. If you've made it this far, you're exactly the kind of viewer who wants the truth behind the headlines. So don't forget to subscribe to FAMELOOP Daily for the stories they don't want you to see. Because in this world of crowns and secrets, the real drama never ends.